Today we are talking to Dr. Kenneth Harris, President and CEO of the National Business League, and Charles Debow III, the Executive Director of the National Black Chamber of Commerce. Debow and Harris recently joined forces to create the National Alliance for Black Business, which plans to advocate for Black businesses across the country and African diaspora in unprecedented ways. I'm so excited that we get to talk about the National Alliance of Black Business, which was just kind of announced and formed last week. But before we get into that, I just want to give both of you the opportunity to tell listeners a little bit about yourselves and what you do. So Dr. Kenneth, you can start, and then Charles, you can follow.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having us this on your show today, this afternoon. I am the 16th National President of the National Business League, which is the first and oldest trade association for Black businesses in the United States of America, founded by the iconic and legendary Booker T. Washington on August the 23rd, 1900. We have regional offices in Detroit, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Georgia, and our national headquarters in Washington, D.C. since 1966. I currently manage and preside over our 120,000 members nationwide, with chapters in all 50 states and internationally, and our working relationships with more than 125 Fortune 500 corporate partners. But what's so special about today is that I get a chance to align and associate myself with another prestigious Black business-oriented organization that is trailblazing across this country. And it's such an honor to work with the National Black Chamber of Commerce and its leader, Charles Debow, in our efforts to bring about the National Alliance for Black Business.
And I am Charles Debow, actually Charles H. Debow III. And I am the president and CEO of the National Black Chamber of Commerce. This very coming year, we'll be celebrating our 30th year. We have about 200 chambers in North America, Central and South America, Africa, and in Paris, France. And we are a missioned nonprofit organization to economically empower through entrepreneurial pursuits throughout the diaspora. And the common ground that we find with the National Business League is our focus on economic empowerment through entrepreneurial pursuits. We are coming together today as a evolvement of recognition of our roots, our DNA, our genesis of who we are as organizations and the missions that we're doing, and focusing on the principles of Booker T. Washington that were firmly established when he established the National Business League over 120 some years ago. So we're really honored to talk about that and to tell you a little bit about why we're coming together, who we are, what we do, what we envision doing.
And I am excited to hear about all that. Thank you both for those introductions. And so last week, you announced the formation of the National Alliance for Black Business. Can you first just explain to listeners what is that and kind of how this alliance came about, why there was a need for it?
Yes, well, one, it's a historic occasion because, especially in the Black community, you've seen us isolated, marginalized, and disconnected. And this is an example of what our ancestors believed in, which is collective and cooperative economics. And so in the formation of the National Alliance for Black Business, which is a federation of other Black business organizations and professional groups that also believe in a Black business agenda. And so we are aligning and we're joining forces to bring about awareness, advocacy, accountability, and access and allyship for those who want to support the Black business agenda. But also we want to be a data and research oriented organization that produces the type of information that's necessary for us to measure the progress and participation towards equity and inclusion of Black businesses amongst the public and private sector and even the federal government. And so this is the right time for us to come together in unison, unified towards an objective that will hopefully move the needle in terms of our equitable and economic pursuits.
Yes, and you both have mentioned how, you know, this is obviously a historic partnership between the National Business League and the National Black Chamber of Commerce. Why did you want to kind of leverage that partnership and forge this partnership with this alliance?
We found that we have the same constituency, the same needs, the same challenges, and as Ken mentioned, there is a historic element to where there are a number of different entities that are similarly focused, but we're not really necessarily doing or achieving what needs to be done in the most efficient manner. And with this, the focus really is on the analysis and the assessment of just what is the state of Black business. What do we base it on? Where do we get this information from? And historically, we've not had it. We've not had a central dedicated information or data gathering mechanism. And so that was part of the beginning. But as we began to consider this and look at it, we started seeing all these different things we could do, and as well as not necessarily put our constituency or business owners or people that have like-minded interests to challenge on, you know, which organization or which group. To us, in a sense, it really doesn't matter. We're more concerned about the results and the impact that we get to those we serve.
Gotcha. And I wanted both of you, before we talk a little bit about kind of the data and the things that you guys are going to be measuring and providing, I want to know, what do you think are some of, you know, some of the most major obstacles facing Black businesses today, right now?
Yeah, it's pretty customary. One, this isn't new to the Black community in terms of barriers to entry into the marketplace. We can trace back to post-slavery, where actual policies were implemented to exclude Black businesses from participating in the economic mainstream of society. We can think about extreme oppression for close to 400 years. And you think about 150 plus years of Jim Crow exclusion that has led us to civil rights, but civil rights with no economic agenda attached to it. And so we find ourselves 50 plus years post civil rights at the bottom of the economic ladder in terms of other ethnicities and races who have benefited off the struggle of Black people. And so, as two of the oldest and largest trade associations, it is incumbent upon us to take the leadership role in providing a mechanism for people to connect, to align, and also for us to lead the Black business conversation. I think it's extremely important when we see in today's society so many different other elements of society having the discussion and leading the discussion with no direct Black business pipeline. And so our organizations, which represent pretty large constituencies that have either been impacted due to the lack of access to capital, the lack of education and training, the lack of resource ecosystems that they can deploy to help their businesses build capacity, scope, and scale, the lack of access to opportunities, both in the public and private sector and with the federal government, and the extremeness of a very benign neglect approach to addressing what I call the Black economic problem. And so that benign neglect approach gets caught up in lingo like minority and people of color and all different types of aspects that does not deal directly with the issue. So the National Black Chamber of Commerce and the NBL gets an opportunity to have a very direct approach in dealing with the Black economic problem. And our goal is to provide business solutions for those problems.
And so can you tell me a little bit about kind of with the research and data that you'll be compiling, what are you guys looking at? And also I want to know a little bit about the Black Business Equity and Inclusion Scorecard that will be offered as part of the Alliance.
In short, you could say that the beginning of it, the start is accountability and responsibility. You know, that's part of, there's a lot of purported resources that are available. One of those that is readily referenced is the actions, the catalyst that the George Floyd incident created, that stimulated, based on the showcasing or the front and center, in your face elements of systemic racism, but particularly as society, both corporate, government, and private, or the civil society, looked at what's the problem? Where is it? How can we address it? And a lot of that was looking at Black communities and the economic disposition. And in some cases, it's unemployment, or overall a lack of economic resource. And so in there was as much as $40 billion commitment that was made to Black communities in varying ways. And there was really no system or no mechanism in place that could show direct application towards those concerns. So Forbes magazine tracked and said it could be in excess of $40 billion that was committed, but never ever left those sources to be applied or implemented. And so that's kind of the beginning. And Dr. Harris will, I'll let you elaborate on the tracking and the methodology.
Yeah, and I mean, those comments are really central to the whole dialogue. Is at this time, there's no true accountability mechanism to really push the envelope towards measurable results. And so we're part of a digital and knowledge-based economy today. Technology allows for us to go in and problem solve a little bit more efficiently. Most importantly, the Black community is a $1.6 trillion consumer power. We purchase a lot of different things from a lot of different companies. We really are a foundation to the foundational and revenue success of a lot of private sector economies. And in Black communities where you have majority Black populations, or pretty large size populations, the local governments and townships are also benefiting from the tax dollar in terms of patronage. And so when you look at that, we say, what is the return on investment? What is the return on inclusion? What is the ROI? And so I think that is what the community is asking for. We want to know that where we spend our money, that it's reciprocated. We want to know that where we patronize, there's a mutual respect for the Black dollar. We also want to know that you know, we are taking our dollar serious now. And we don't just want to measure that dollar by marketing budgets alone, or charity budgets alone. We want to see actual contracting and procurement opportunities and spending going on in the Black community with Black business owners. And when you look at the consumer power, I mean, if we were a country in terms of GDP, Black people in America spend more than Bermuda, Norway, Denmark, Australia, Canada. I could go on and on and on. Belgium, France, etc. We are a very large consumer economy. And so now we have to really focus where our dollars are going and really promote those companies who are doing a good job
Yes.
of being inclusive in terms of equitable inclusivity. And those companies where they are struggling, we'll have the type of data that will allow us to help them improve their processes. Because if you are getting a D N or F on a report card, the goal is always learning. So eventually we can help you as an alliance to eventually receive an A or B. And that's the ultimate goal, is to bring about true equality. And we believe, like Booker T. Washington believed, if we are able to reach economic equality, you will see the pursuit of other objectives towards humanity start to take place.
This is just amazing work, and it's so impressive. And I think, as people say, numbers don't lie, and to have that data and to show that too. I mean, there may be companies and firms out there that don't realize that their numbers are so bad in the way that they give back or they reinvest into Black communities. So to have those numbers and to show them to firms across industries is just so important, I think. And
Yeah, Megan, and one other powerful statement with yours is you can't do this alone. Um, the National Black Chamber of Commerce could have done this by itself. The NBL could have done it by itself. We could have went out and tried to ride the horse ourselves, but we find that working together is our strength. There's power in numbers.
Yes.
And since we announced the Black Business Equity and Inclusion Scorecard and the Alliance, not only have we seen an overwhelming response from the community, obviously with the World Conference of Mayors signing on right away, but tons of other Black organizations who obviously have entrepreneurs within their ranks and want to support a Black business agenda. They are banging at the door to get involved and to get engaged. And so this is our time. And you're exactly right. The data used to be he who holds the gold rule. Today is he who holds the data and content rules.
And, I just want to know too about your guys' perspective on how important it is for Black businesses to kind of collaborate and work with each other across industries, across, states and regions, for their success, for all of their success.
Say that again. Repeat that question.
I wanted to know how important you kind of think it is for Black businesses to collaborate with each other across industries, across regions and things, just to kind of add to their success and kind of have that sense of shared success as well.
Well, you're talking about market, and that's really the core bottom line of this. And you heard Ken mention barriers to market. And this is the principles and philosophies of free market enterprise. And as we talk about that $1.6 trillion, if we're able to do business with ourselves, or if we're able to do business to optimally utilize what's available, and in a digitized market and a digitized commerce, your people that you can do business with are global. And that's very much what we're representing in terms of the diaspora and commercialization and realization, in that we're going to do business with each other. We have entities that are similar to ours that are looking to promote business in South America or Central America or even Africa. They're dying to get into that market and increase that 1.6 trillion spending, that if we aggregate it and use all the money from throughout Black communities, wherever they may be geographically, that it's the same thing online. So you will find, when you talk to a business, a Black business, that they're going to tell you the thing they need the most is more customers or more opportunity. And with that comes an increase in capacity, an increase in what they're doing, how they're doing, and the resources needed to do that. So it is extremely important, but I don't think you have to do too much to convince anybody, because if you said, I represent X number of businesses and walk in the door, we want to do business with you, everybody's saying, let's go. Absolutely. Tell me about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, how can Black businesses kind of stay up to date with the Alliance or to get involved? And can you tell me about the inaugural event that's going to be going on in February?
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited because we got a chance to announce right during the major festivities happening in Washington, D.C. That week of the 27th. Yeah. But the major thing was to have a kickoff that would lead into our National State of Black Business Conference that is going to take place during Black History Month. So this would be an opportunity for business owners, CEOs, organizations, corporate allies, and anyone interested in the state of Black business as we push our agenda to come to Washington, D.C., in which we'll have an actual agenda to help drive the discussion, to create access, to create awareness, and to start to to position ourselves as the Alliance and the voice to accurately present ourselves as the authority on Black business, which means we're presenting the type of information that our organizations can now take on and go into their communities and start to lead the charge. And so that's why it's so powerful to have two national but globally inclined organizations with history and credibility and integrity. And you can't find a better leader right now of the National Black Chamber of Commerce and Charles H. Debow III. This is just a great time with great leadership, who's unbought, unsold, not looking for a side hustle, not taking on charity to remain silent. We are truly about the community that we serve, and we want to see Black businesses win.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen. And so where can listeners go if they want to find out a little bit more, if you want to plug like a website or anything like that?
Yeah, they can go to www.nationalallianceforblackbusiness.com, and it's up today. Sign up today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kenneth and Charles, for speaking with me today. It was a pleasure doing business with you.
It's a pleasure doing business.
Thank you.
Great to see you again, Charles. All right.